Are we live?
We are live, and Bad is Rad is sitting here so far. She's the only one that I know. Oh, her twerking llama is with her.
Oh, cool. I want to show you my new button. Can you see that?
I know it's you got to flip it up. I can't read it. No, move over.
Yeah, I know.
No one can see it. All right, I make it something.
Hey, Black History Month.
Okay.
It's a button from the library. I went to the library today, and they had a good time. I live in the Hollywood district. Portland's divided up in districts. So
Right.
our library is off the chain excellent. I sat in like the children's section, and I had my ear goggle in, and playing my tunes, and I had a whole slide to pick up, and they have 3 books too. So I picked up 100 Years of Solitude.
That's a good one. Was that what you said? It was a free book?
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's been more than 25 years since I've read that book. So it's the details are, but I remember that being such a fascinating read and so captivating, and it
took you magical realism, He takes you back to when they invented ice.
Adam Savage. Hello.
Adam, man, speak of the fucking devil. Sorry to use the F word. Yeah, we need to get Adam on the show.
Okay, if he can make it, we'll find room. We can change our times around. I know you said he's in
Malaysia, I think. Yeah, he's a world traveler.
Okay.
So I have to comment below, and he's in Malaysia, but
okay. Well, we got 3 people here. Currently in Thailand.
So you made Thailand now, okay? Cool. I've just been smudging my area and trying to.
Hello, Al.
Hey, Al. And when you give me some Joyce, I dressed up tonight, so.
Yeah, I didn't have anything Joycean to wear, so I just put on my regular sweater. Bad says hi to everyone. So do you want to just wait a couple minutes before talking about Joyce, or do you want to see who shows up?
No, we can talk about it.
I'm just saying you might want to wait 1 or 2 minutes to see if anyone else shows up. There you go.
I have a pristine copy of Dubliners. Pristine.
Okay.
This one, however, is fucked up.
That is a hell of a lot of annotations. A lot of annotations. And you see, I just have my Kindle version of Dubliners, but I also have the audiobook from Audible. So I listened to the narrator, who had a very I presume it's an authentic Irish accent. reading the stories that I was reading.
There's several of these from north and south, like in Belfast and Dublin. You can tell the difference. My friends in Dublin, when I was there in 96 to 97, they didn't want to go north. That's when they had the border, the armed. It was like Israel and Palestine.
Right.
The border, yeah.
The troubles.
They didn't go up there.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Ireland has as many different accents as a lot of the U.S. There's a question from Al. There is an audiobook of Joseph Campbell's Finnegan Key. I wonder what resources there are maybe for Dubliners.
Joseph Campbell's book, Skeleton Key to Finnegan's Wake, is an excellent book. He wrote that like 2 years. Finnegan's Wake came out in 1936, and Joseph Campbell wrote, introduction to it like 2 years after the fact. Joseph Campbell is the shot.
Okay. Well, Alan, why don't you tell us a little bit, if you know, about the history of how Joyce came to write Dubliners, and he was, what part of his life was he doing when he wrote it, and
it took him a long time to even get it published. I mean, I can't believe you're putting me on the spot, Greg. But it was Richard. Joyce had a very hard time publishing Dubliners. Very hard time. Took him like over 15 years.
Okay, so give us a little bit of time. So he wrote Dubliners, was trying to get it published. Was he writing Ulysses immediate? No, he wrote Portrait of the Artist and then Ulysses. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then he wrote poems too. That used to be how you would do it, right? You're a teenager, you write poems, then you graduate to short stories, and then you graduate to Ulysses,
So how old was he when he wrote the stories for this book? Do you know?
Very young, in his 20s.
Okay. And he followed up immediately on Portrait of the Artist?
You really put me on the spot. I don't know the history of that too much. I'd rather talk about Dubliners.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move into Dubliners.
I like Portrait. The 5th chapter of Portrait with the preacher, the Catholic priest, and hellfire and brimstone. There's nothing better than that. Chapter 5 of Portrait. But for me, as a Joycean, I recommend Dubliners and just skipping Portrait, and going right into Ulysses.
Now, is that because you don't like Portrait or you don't think it's necessary? Oh, we got some comments here. Al says Dubliners, 1914, and the novels Portrait of the Artist, Young Man, published in form in 1916, and then Ulysses in 1922, and Finnegan's Wake in 39.
Oh, I thought it was 36, but I'm sure it's red. Don't make me get my book out.
Oh no, I mean I have no doubt that he can look that up, and that's correct.
I look at my annotations on my small little copy of Dubliners. It looks like on cocaine read it. I mean, look, it's ridiculous.
Okay. So you mentioned that Eveline is one of your favorite short stories.
Kids.
Is your favorite short story?
Well, no, I said kids. It is. Not my favorite. Yeah. You know, this whole live show started. You asked me to pick my favorite short story from Dubliners, and I can't pick one. So I picked two.
Okay, well.
You know, I could have picked Two Gallant. I could have picked Ivy Day in the Community Room about Charles Stewart Cornell and the history of, I have to catch my breath.
All right, so now I have read Eveline before. That was more than 20 years ago. So my original reading was in the 90s, somewhere around there, of Dubliners. So essentially, when I reread it this week, it was fresh to me. I didn't know what was going on. And when I mentioned this, I think in our Voxer, when I first was reading this and hadn't finished it, I felt sure that her problem was that she was pregnant. And that was just I know it's just when I read time period stories like this and the woman's having issues, I just immediately jump to that conclusion.
Well, she's not pregnant.
No, she isn't.
Is she?
No, she isn't. I don't think so.
I don't think so. She's a Catholic. She's a Catholic girl, Greg. You know, she's not. And it's just, Eveline takes my breath away. You know, she's got an opportunity to go to Spain, but it's paralysis. Like all the stories in Dublin, from the sisters, the first one, it's about paralysis. They cut their nose off to despite their faith. Eveline has an opportunity to go to Spain with a lover, and she refuses it to go back to her alcoholic dad.
Right.
Do it.
Well, that sort of follows, at least in modern times, that many women stick to abusive relationships, and they may have opportunities to leave an abusive relationship, but for whatever reason, they choose to stay.
Okay, this isn't an abusive relationship. It's a great relationship. Her and this boyfriend. Her abusive relationship
is her father.
With her father.
Right. That's the relationship she ultimately decides to stay with. That she wants to stay with her father.
Horrible.
And you said that was what was the word you used to describe all the relationships in this book, that they paralysis. That she cannot envision her life outside of what she already has.
Outside Ireland, she has to go home back to her, to commitment. She has a commitment to her history and her father, and she can't take the leap. She doesn't take the leap.
Right.
Take the leap.
Now, Joyce eventually left Ireland, didn't he?
Yeah, it's called self-exile, but yeah, he went to Paris and
Okay, so what else would you like to point out about the story of Eveline? What is it about this story that
Calls to me,
calls to you?
just that she is the ending, uh, and the fact that I had kind of an ending in Ireland too. I got involved with the girl, and I asked her to marry me. You're bringing up a lot of shit, Greg.
Well, you're the one who picked this story to talk about.
Okay, so I asked her to marry me. She was I had a flat. I had friends, and they went up to Spain like Eveline could have, but so I had a flat for like 6, 8 months. My own flat in Dublin. Ballymun, number 6. If anybody knows that. So I got friendly with a girl in the other flat, and I asked her to marry me. Because I was young. This is like 96, 97. And she said, I'm not saying yes, or what she said. I can't say yes, or I'm not saying no, but I can't say yes. And that's Eveline.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it was very sad when you get to the end, and I'm just trying to pick it off my Kindle here, and he's trying to seize her by the hand and said, "Come on, let's just go and do this." Now, what I kind of notice is that he was taking her away, but he was not necessarily marrying her. Or was that implied that they would be getting married once they got to their destination?
Well, I think that's implied, yeah. But that's a good point, Greg. Maybe if the narrator, she would have went with him to Spain. You know,
well, see, this is where I sort of is throwing in some interpretations that may not actually be in the story, because I know Joyce was, I guess, progressive in his sexual attitudes, and
what are you trying to say, Greg?
now he was not married to his woman for a while, was he?
No, you mean to Nora?
Nor that, and that's sort of what I was reading into this book. Also, is once I found out, okay, she's not pregnant, but he's offering to take her away, and I tend to read a lot of sex into these situations. That maybe it's my.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Okay.
Joyce is full of sex. Joyce is full of humor and sex and Irish politics, and so continue, please.
So here's Al saying Joyce and Nora ran off together. I agree. When do we know when they ran off together? Was this before Dubliners or after Dubliners? I don't know his history well enough.
Well, I do if I think about it. You're asking a lot of hard questions, Greg. I wasn't prepared for this.
Oh, well, you tell us. I mean, I'm trying to fill in what I'm reading the story, and you come out and you, instead of me asking you questions, you can switch the table and start asking me about it and see what I.
Okay. Well, yeah, but you want to get into history, it seems like. And Joyce's self-exile, he left Dublin, he went to Paris, tried to make it there, went to Trieste, Italy. That's how Portrait ends. His father sends him a telegram, son, come home, mother's dying. And then 4 months later, he writes Ulysses. That's the thing about Portrait.
Right. So if I'm asking you your questions that are too hard, throw something out to me about the story so I can play, or people in the comments. I mean, we've got a couple of people down there making comments, and I know Al is going, Young felt that Joyce was excellent at writing his female characters, so it'd be likely be subtle.
Yeah, Young. I love Carl Young, Carl Young was a tarot reader. I love his book called The Red Book. Something like that. Carl Jung is archetypes are.
He had the certain archetypes that you fit into a certain personality. I don't know enough about Jung to make any real comments about that, because he study Jung.
Like the shadow self. Everybody has a shadow self. I know I do. And Jung would say, embrace your shadow self.
Bad is just listening. Okay. Al is going, the sex would be subtle in IMO. At least in the stories that I read with that, but once you get to Ulysses, I think he's opening up about. We're getting a little ahead, but yeah, it's Joyce did open up a lot about sex, which is why I still read it into these stories that may or not be appropriate to read into them.
Letters, if Adam's still here, I think
Adam's still here, as far as I know.
Yeah, in his letters, he is very, 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 very graphic about sex with Nora in his letters.
Oh, Bad said I had to help with the Valentine's Day gift in my house. Sorry I missed today. Young made mention of even more schizophrenic writing, and Joyce spoke to him. So what else? What else should we know about the story, Eveline, other than that she is just sort of paralyzed with this
paralysis? Yeah.
Paralysis.
Yeah, it's just a great story. We could probably move on to Grace if you want.
Okay, tell us about Grace. Tell us about the story, Grace. Tell us your interpretation of Grace.
It's about a man who falls down the loo and breaks his teeth out. Falls down the stairs in a laboratory in Dublin.
Right.
And then they find him. Can you imagine that, Greg? Just tumbling down, falling drunk down the stairs and breaking your teeth out, and that's how the story starts.
Right. That introduces us to the main character. Now, hold on. Let me get my Kindle going again so I can remember all the names correctly.
Oh yeah.
Yep, the two gentlemen who were in the lavatory at the time tried to lift him up, but he was quite helpless.
Yeah, yeah, he's having a bad time.
Well, it seemed like that was just the life he was living, that he was sort of what was he he was a salesman trying to sell something,
Right.
and very determined. Go ahead.
Like a story, because the guy is so effed up. It's like a detective story. You're trying to figure out what's your name? Where are you from? Do you have a wife? You know, this story, it's you can read Dante into this, and you know, the Commedia, and it's just one of my favorite stories.
And is there something about the story that makes it your favorite story?
Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, I've been there, not lately, but I've been drunk in a bar in a pub in Dublin. You know, I haven't fallen down the stairs, and uh, so great. You know, we all need a little grace in life. We all need a little help.
Right. So that's sort of leading to the second half of the story, where a lot of the other characters were talking specifically, I guess, more of the Irish interpretation of their faith at the end there.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. Kurgan is the character. You can't pronounce like me. I can't pronounce my mouth is effed up. But you can't pronounce the letters C or M. You notice that on page like 103? It's Joyce using, and he wrote this back in 1960. Uh,
1914 is when it popped. Now you're talking about his vernacular. It's like where they're going like he's dropping all the letters to give you the key to how these characters are actually talking.
Hello, Tom, old man. What's the trouble? Sure, nothing, said the man. You know, they're trying to find out who this man is. You know, think about reality. If you would go to a bar tonight, or I would, and somebody would F himself up so bad like that, you would be concerned about him.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
I would.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to find out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so we have a question from Bat. I guess this is not related to Joyce, but she's saying, how are you guys celebrating tomorrow for Valentine's? These are great books. I haven't read these books. I am going to go to Costco and buy my wife a bunch of flowers. And then I'm going to have to get my cat something because tomorrow is the first anniversary of the day we adopted our cats, Pip and Bella. So it'll be celebrating, I guess the adoption terms is Gotcha Day.
yeah. Yeah. I've been having good, I was going to say good days with flowers, but it's been like a week of flowers at my apartment complex. you know, just flowers, flowers, flowers. I mean, I'm giving them away to people. I have so many flowers.
Okay, so is there anything else that you kind of want to mention about these stories? Or just
Well, no. Are you getting bored? Or?
no? I'm just trying not to ask you too many questions because the story is called Grace, and I guess it's all about the redemption of I forgot his name of the man who fell down the loo. Carahan, yeah. And it was just felt very much sort of in the Irish tradition of what they were thinking about. So
yeah, you know the name, Mr. Power. You remember him?
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't connect the names. There he goes. Well, Mr. Power is giving directions to the carman. Now, was he the one that basically took him out and led him away after he had his accident?
Right. He was his friend, and then they have to take him back home to his wife.
Right.
And that's problematic.
What's problematic about it?
His wife doesn't like him drinking.
Well, what wives do like their husbands to go out and come home drunk?
Not only come home drunk, but to be like carried home.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's like the old Who song. What's the line? If you can get up and walk.
If you can get up and walk away, something?
Yeah, if you can get up and walk your way up, you can stay at home tonight. What's that line? That's what Grace is like. If you can get up and walk home, I mean, he's so drunk.
Yeah, well, you know, most of us have been there one time in our life.
Yeah. And then, I mean, if you want to talk about Joyce, you didn't talk about religion and Catholicism. You know.
I'm a little hesitant because I just don't know enough about Catholicism to make any sort of accurate interpretation. I can just see it as a religious view in general. And that's why I'm saying it's like it felt very Irish to me in their interpretations, but I'm not necessarily saying that's correct. Oh, we got some comment from Adam Savage. You can go to sleep at home tonight if you can get up and walk away.
There you go. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that says,
what Grace.
As long as there's sex involved, laughing, he can come home drunk.
Well, now we're getting into no, I'm not even going there.
No, I'm not touching that one either.
Yeah, it's a very religious story, you know. Grace. It's the one before the dead. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, I said I have read The Dead before, but I don't remember a lot about that story. It was so long ago that I read that story.
It's about snow.
About
snow.
Snow?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's about Michael Cunningham and it's about Joyce's relationship with Nora. Yeah.
So he was in a relationship with Nora while writing these stories.
Yes. Nora was his muse. Nora is Molly Bloom.
Okay, so the relationship had definitely started by the time he was writing Dubliners.
Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. Ulysses takes place on June 16th, right?
Right.
That was the first time they met. Nora, okay, I'm gonna get rude. Okay, spoiler alert, I'm gonna get rude. Nora gave him a hand job.
Ah.
And that's how they met. She was like a maid in Finn's hotel. And they just met. And then, unlike Eveline, she took off with Joyce. Had 2 kids with him before they were married. We're talking about 1922, you know?
Yeah, that was not common back then. Oh, a comment from Al. Our human nature understood that all men were not called to religious life, that by far the vast majority were forced to live in the world and to a certain extent for the world. Then Grace and my is a good summary in one line. Are you trying to find a good summary? Or wait a second here. We are not called to religious life, and many do not heed the call to live life. Not all. Yeah, not all are called. Yeah, okay. You're not called. No. All right. Okay. So, what else if we're running out of steam on the 2 stories? What else have you been trying? I know you've been talking about reading Baldwin for Black History Month.
Yeah. I can't find the book. I'd like to just look it up here, but
That's all right.
It's all right. My Baldwin reading partner, Patrice Jones, and I are getting through Baldwin. So we're on a book of essays. The second one called Nobody Knows My Name. And the thing that's really flipping me out and causing concern and making me think is shit that Shite, keep it Irish. Shite he was talking about 60 years ago is still happening today in America.
No, it's definitely still going on in America.
You know,
Oh, say hello to Courtney. She dropped in. Hello. Just want to stop in before I start my reading. Well, hello, Courtney. Glad you could take a
yeah,
moment to stop by.
yeah, thank you, Courtney. You want to talk about, like Black History Month and that a bit?
Yeah, you
Why?
know, I read one book sort of for Black History Month. It was a crime novel, so I don't know if that
Walter
count.
Mosley?
What?
Was it Walter Mosley?
No, it was Donald Goines.
Oh,
He was very famous in his day as being a you know hard-fisted crime writer, and it was pretty good. You know, it talked a lot about drug dealing, and what the drug dealers have to do to make a living. And then I was starting to read Toni Morrison's book Sula.
oh, I've never read that.
I was starting to read it, and I just could not get into it. You know, you pick a book I didn't want to try to force myself to read it, because when you force yourself to read something that you're not getting, you're not going to get anything out of the book anyway. So I put that aside. So I don't know if I'll be doing a lot of reading this month for Black History, other than those two that I tried.
Baldwin's enough for me. Baldwin is the shite. He really is.
Oh, say hello to Mark. Book time with Elvis.
Are you kidding me?
It must be the middle of the night in Czechoslovakia right now. I think Elvis might be asleep on his dog bed.
Cool.
Bad as read IDNF because I can use the time for another book that agrees with me. You know, I totally agree with that. I know there are some people who claim they cannot DNF a book. That once they start, they just have to continue with it no matter what. And I just can't fathom that, because sometimes if I'm not digging it, I just don't want to force it. Mark says
IDNF
middle. I read that about 15 years ago. It's pretty good.
It's good, but IDNF is.
If you know something, if it's not working for you at the time, it's not working. Don't force it. Mark said, and Mark said it's almost 3 a.m.
I would like to ask Mark a question.
Yeah, Bad agrees with us on DNFing.
No, I know it's not. It's about food. I want to ask Mark a question about kielbasa. You know, he's read by Poland. I love me some kielbasa. And I haven't had any since Toledo, Ohio. Like the Midwest, you can get it there. Out here in the West, California, no real kielbasa. It's horrible.
I was going, if the writing is garbage, how can one continue? I agree, but you know, sometimes I'm reading a book with really good language and really good. It was like Sula by Toni Morrison. It's a good book. It just was not working for me at that time, and I put it aside. And I'll pick it up later. And Mark, why is February Black History Month? Seems strange to me they chose the shortest month. I have no idea. I have no idea why they chose February as Black History Month. So somewhere, someone has the answer. I know Brian at Bookish would probably know, but I don't.
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know why they chose it either. Shortest effing month. I don't know. I just think.
Mark said, I can't get back to sleep and I have to be up in 2 hours.
Oh, great. You got to get up in 2 hours to eat.
I have had those nights when I was working where you wake up in the middle of the night. Now, for me, it was computer programming. So I don't know quite how it would relate to teaching, but I kept thinking about how these programs work in my mind and how to get it to work when I get back into the office in the morning. And it just keeps you up at all night. My wife and I call it monkey mind, where your mind is just spinning its way.
I'm an insomniac, Greg, and I also suffer. I don't want anybody to feel bad for me, but I suffer from sleep apnea.
Okay.
I'm not fat or thin. I'm not, I got a big Irish neck, but so yeah, I'm constantly waking up, and in my diet, I have to wake up and urinate. So I'm waking up all the time. I might as well give the F up. God, where's my tarot card?
Oh, here we have an answer, Al. To coincide with Lincoln's birthday. That's why we have Black History Month in February.
I mean, you want to talk about Juneteenth?
Well, Juneteenth is that's when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, so that makes total sense. Oh, monkey mind, yeah, it's a good way to describe that that late night. Your mind just will not stop. Courtney says you need CPAP, Alan. Sleep apnea don't mean you big time.
I had CPAP. I've tried that a number of times in Georgia and in Toledo. I've tried the nose one. I've tried the mask one. I need to get that new thing they show on TV, the implant.
And Courtney says, I celebrate Black History year round. Well, guess that's a good thing too, or that's, how it runs.
Hell yeah.
So I'm making progress on my judging for the BookTube prize. I finished my first one, and I'm on my second for nonfiction.
That's really good, Greg. I mean it. I had to bow out of that because you're a voracious reader, and I would like to participate in that, but I just can't read that much.
No, you just. I'm doing mine as audiobooks. But I also have gotten the physical books out of the library. So especially with nonfiction, I can look in the histories and look at the photos that you don't get in the audio version. So I can review those. But yeah, it's still going to be a little bit of a stretch because one of the audiobooks was 800 pages. It was like 26 hours. That took a long time. to read, but fortunately the other ones are a bit shorter. You know, I wondered why the views on my Black Like Me review was up. Forgot about the month. Oh, his views on that are up. Yeah, absolutely. So, Alan, Courtney's asking, what you got to drink, Alan?
Oh, I'm drinking whiskey.
Are you drinking Fireball whiskey?
Yes. And I'm drinking a cheap beer. And I'm drinking coffee.
Margarita.
All the while smoking weed. I'm lit, Courtney. I'm lit. Hey, man.
Al, I try to read a few audiobooks a week and read one digital or paperback book per week. Yeah, that's sort of my pace too, depending on the length. For me, I get about an hour to an hour and a half of listening done per day on audiobooks. And it depends on my speed. I usually speed up. I'm usually listening at 1.5 speed. What?
An hour and a half is not a lot for you.
An hour and a half to 2 hours. Yeah, it's about that.
It's great. What else are you doing?
Putzing around a lot. Yeah. Courtney, 800 pages. Dang, Greg, you are dead. Yeah, it took some time to get through, but it was good. I don't want to give book reviews here because in case some other drops by and looks at the comments and here's what I'm talking about on the BookTube review. Al, I drink mint tea 24/7. Is a book in the reason why.
Yeah. We have a great tea in Portland too. Not only do we have great coffee and IPA beer, we have great tea too. Come visit Portland. We need you.
So Bad is saying my favorite drink is Bud Light Lime from the bottle. Okay.
She mentioned that to me before. I like lime in my beer. You like a Corona? You put lime in a Corona. Dad, I want to tell you, how can I say this? You would love my neighborhood so much. There's I can't even name my favorite Mexican restaurant. There's like 1 out of 3 I would take you to. I think I know the one I'd take you to. They have big margaritas. You need both hands to please.
Yep, and Courtney, you mixing a lot. Drink a glass of water before bed. I'm drinking a cup of chamomile tea.
Yeah, chamomile will make you sleepy.
And Courtney's also good. I love good Blue Moon beer. My favorite beer now is actually from a local brewery. We have a brewery about 3.5 miles from where I live, and they have a lot of local beer. So I try to keep most of my beer drinking to the local brands, because the brewery's right up the street. You want to support your fellow.
I'm going to have to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you again. Blue Moon beer with an orange. We were talking about like limes and that. Blue Moon beer with an orange. It's so delightful. I had one in Seattle Airport. Okay, continue. I'm sorry.
I know. Okay, yeah. I'm just saying, The Blue Moon, I have that occasion. Depending on like when I go out to a restaurant, I occasionally get the Blue Moon, but it really depends. As I said, I try to stick to the local beers when I can. And now same 1.5 and listen as I walk and such. Yeah, that's why I get an hour. I walk every morning, 45 minutes, 40 minutes to an hour every morning. And then the rest of it is how many dishes do I have to do or clean up and drive around and listen to. Al and Rochefort, 10. Wait a second. Here's one from Book Time with Elvis. I've got breweries coming out my ears. You've mentioned that, Mark, is that beer is cheaper than water in the Czech Republic, which makes me want to visit the Czech Republic. I just want to try some of those beers.
Mark never did he answer my question about the Kielbasa?
I don't think so. Oh, Courtney, he says, I used to live in Seattle, so went to many breweries. Courtney, I used to, last year, the year before, I lived near Seattle. I lived in between Seattle and Tacoma in a little town called Bonnie Lake, which you probably have not heard of. But it was a pretty good. I used to commute to Seattle for a while. I took the they didn't call the Sounder train into downtown Seattle, and then I took the underground subway to my destination, and I could listen to a lot of audiobooks on that commute.
Yeah, I like Seattle. I've only been there a few times. I've been to the airport like 2-3 times, but I saw the band Glass Animal in Seattle. We took the Amtrak up there. It was a effed-up situation. This guy, I bought him a ticket. I don't even want to go into it. But Glass Animal, they used to be, when I worked at Smith Teenager in Portland for not long, just over a year. But we would jam to Glass Animal. They kind of fell off the trend. They're not trending anymore, but they used to be. Now I up to Seattle, all that.
Yeah, Bad is going. I've been a Bud girl since 1999. I'm loyal. Well, at least you can always find your beer of preference. But I have to adjust my beer of preference whenever I ever travel. Yeah, it's a pretty good life, Courtney. Oh, here's something from Alan. Here's Mark. Sorry, I can't hear you so well, Alan. So I didn't hear your question.
I'll have to start talking louder. I'm trying to listen.
Oh, Courtney's heard of Bonnie Lake. Okay. I used to live in Magnolia neighborhood. Too many hills. Yeah, Bonnie Lake was on top of a hill, and it was a pretty steep hill. No, we're just talking about local Washington neighborhoods. Okay. Another question from Mark. I'm reading Travels with Charlie by Steinbeck. He mentions Applejack. What is that? Some kind of apple liquor? I think that's just like fermented apple cider, pretty much.
Yeah, I think so too. Captain Jack, I want to tell everybody who's watching this right now, after we're done, of course, I want you to go on YouTube and do Captain Jack by Billy Joel.
Oh yeah, I know that song.
Yeah.
I do.
Probably my favorite Billy Joel song.
Is your favorite?
That will get you high tonight, and then there's the masturbation line. You're all alone,
Your
your
sister's out on a date, and you sit home and masturbate. That's the line.
Yeah.
So Mark is reading Steinbeck's Travels with Charlie. I have not read that Steinbeck book. I have it on my Kindle, or is it in my Library of America? I have it somewhere that I can read it someday. So I hope you talk about it a bit. I do like Steinbeck has 3 really good books. Yes, East of Eden, Grapes of Wrath, and Of Mice and Men all 3 are really good books.
East of Eden is my favorite Steinbeck.
Which one?
Bar none. East of Eden.
East of Eden.
Bar none. I've read that like 3 times. My buddy read it with my dad. I turned him on to it. I've given that book away to people.
Now, you like that better than the Grapes of Wrath?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I think I prefer Grapes of Wrath above East of Eden, but that's you will get people dithering back and forth over those 2, which is his better book.
Yeah. I need to reread Grapes of Wrath.
Oh, Courtney's got to go. Nice chat. Drink
All right,
water.
cool.
Goodbye, Courtney.
Love you, bye. I love her.
Mark, you know the original Budweiser is from the Czech Republic. Did not know that. It's been a big legal battle around here, around the world. So in some countries, Budweiser is Czech, and in others, the American.
Call bullshit on that. I'm calling bullshit, Mark.
It's not a Czech beer. It's only American. I don't know. All right.
Man, if I was in the Czech Republic tonight, Greg, I would be having a couple stuff, a couple dark beer, Guinness, preferably. Guys, get some kielbasa.
You mentioned, I didn't hear what you said. You said something, and he just didn't. The sound quality was not quite good enough.
Okay, maybe I'm yelling too much. If I was in the Czech Republic tonight, I would have a couple glasses of Guinness, or the darkest stout that you get, and some kielbasa, and some sauerkraut. Oh. You hear me that time?
Yeah, hold on. Mark came in and says, well, the city of Budweis is in South Bohemia. That's the German name. Its Czech name is, I'm leaving that up for people to look at because I'm not even going to try to pronounce that with all those accents smug. It's like Český. No, I can't do it. It's just beyond my ability.
I think I know what he's saying. He's trying to say Budweiser originated in
Czechoslovakia. Yeah, could be.
And I'm calling bullshit on that.
Yeah, I have no idea where it originated from.
Budweiser's, oh God, Bud, Budweiser started in Milwaukee, I think, didn't it?
In America, I think it did, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, Laverne and Shirley, Milwaukee. Please.
Okay. Well, is there anything else? We've been on here for about an hour and 10 minutes. Do we have anything else to cover tonight?
Let me think. No, Portland is so weird. I feel like I live in fairyland. Like today, the sun was out, and it was like 70 degrees, and now tomorrow they're saying it's gonna snow. So I'm gonna go out and get some air, and get on with my night.
Oh, Mark came back and says, no, I mean, the name is in dispute. The product is different. Of course, the Czech one is better.
Of course. Oh, yeah.
Al, it was a blast. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening and a fantastic day later. No, my day's wrapping up. You still have a little bit of your day left, Alan. Mine's basically at the end. It's like 9, 10.
Yeah. What time is it? I don't even know.
You're probably like a 7:10. You're about 17.
Yeah, no, it's 6. It's only 6. I mean, I'm getting ready to cook dinner. And it's going to be a light dinner, probably tuna fish salad, some crackers, and jalapeno crackers.
All right, those would be good. And yeah, Mark is saying I'm 3 hours into Tuesday. He's got to get up and go to work pretty soon. I guess Elvis is sound asleep, Mark.
I wish we'll close with this, right?
All right.
I wish I had a pet. I wish I had a chihuahua. I don't care male or female. I babysat a female chihuahua. Her name was Bella for like 6 months here in Portland 2 years ago. But we really got along well. And so my favorite dog is a miniature schnauzer. I've had 2 of those. My last one lasted 17 years. His name was Angus.
All right. There's your dog.
But, like we've been talking about, Greg, first I need to get a plant, and cultivate the plant, nourish it, and then maybe a dog.
Yeah, well, you got to make sure your life is ready for a dog, because dogs are a lot of work. They're worth it, but they're
My my punchline. Because after the plant and the dog, then I'm going to try to get his girlfriend. Boom.
Hey, you know something? If you walk with a dog, the girls are going to like you better. So I'll say, oh, he's got a dog.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Man, I just love dogs. And I love dog parks. And it just made me want to get a Chihuahua even more. I think this dog park, Portland has a few dog parks. There, I mean, in my building, there's probably like 5 dogs in a 53 apartment. That's how many we have. So, not too many, but a few dogs. And I know them.
All right. Well, let's finish up with the Alice and the internet makes it weird. Some people are living in the future. Yeah. And quiet living in the past. Can't help it. It's better here. Okay. Nostalgia, another word for endless. Okay. Well, let's call it a night. Thank you, everyone who showed up and contributed to the conversation. It's been a blast again. And next week is a special time. I think it's be 1 p.m. because Mark, with Book Time for Elvis, is our scheduled guest.
That's going to be at a weird time, huh?
Well, we'll Vox her and make sure exactly what time works for him because he's got to work around his school job, I think. So we'll figure it. It just probably won't be the normal time. Okay, everyone. One more thing. What?
Yeah, about the past. We talked about the past, right?
What about the past?
Okay, one last thing. The past isn't dead. It's not even the past.
William Faulkner. All right, everyone. Have a good night.